One question I get from a lot of my clients with young children is how do we set our children up for financial success? And I'm excited to share that you have a new tool in your toolbox to help do just that. Build strong financial foundation and long-term wealth creation with these new accounts. These are called Trump accounts, and they might sound a little political, but they're actually a new government-backed investment account for kids. So in today's video, I'm going to dive into what they are, who gets them, and why they were created in the first place. But before I do that, let's understand what the definition is of a Trump account. A Trump account is a new tax advantage retirement account or investment account for children under the age of 18. They act and feel a lot like an IRA. They were created by law in 2025, and they're going to be accepting funds starting in 2026. So that's exciting news that's just around the corner. So why were these created? Well, first off, we are in a savings crisis right now. We're seeing this with our aging baby boomers, where many people are not or have not saved enough for retirement. And really, baby boomers are the first generation that don't by and large have pensions. So a lot of the retirement savings was on their shoulders. And unfortunately, many people did not take the time, energy, and effort to contribute to those accounts. And now in their 60s and 70s, they're facing the challenges of what that looks like. So Trump accounts are in somewhat of a response to this retirement crisis that we're seeing, is helping our children start early, build wealth over time, and allow that money to grow and compound with the market over that same period of time. Another reason is that there's many people that are not participating in the stock market. There's astonishing figures that show that a large percentage of our population don't have any money invested in the stock market, like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, or the Dow. They just aren't participating. So this is another great way, great entry point for our greater population, our young children to be invested over the long term. So who qualifies for these? These accounts were built for children under the age of 18, and the parents will make those contributions. They must have a valid Social Security number. Now, one of the cool things that the government has done as a great way to provide an incentive to make contributions is that they will provide $1,000 deposit to these accounts. In fact, Michael Dell came out last year in support of this and is actually going to be helping funding part of these contributions, which is really cool that we're seeing the involvement of the political parties and the private citizens of the United States that are behind this. And those $1,000 contributions are going to be eligible for people or children that were born between January 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028. So really cool to allow those younger children to have, get started in the right way. And over time, they can be introduced to what these accounts are. Now, the nice thing that these accounts also have some restrictions, withdrawal restrictions and things like that. So you can't just access them willy-nilly at any given point. And these are going to be different than like a 529, where a 529 is going to be geared more towards education spending and education expenses, or a UGMA account, which is something that is more of a custodial account that parents manage, and then the child gets to have that when they're age of majority. There's a couple of different caveats to what these accounts are all about. So how do these accounts work? Well, let's keep it high level here. So first off, they're eligible for that one-time federal contribution. And families, employers, they all can make contributions to this. They are subject to limits, a cap of $5,000 per year that can go into that. And that likely will be adjusted with inflation, similar to what we see with retirement accounts, as those like the IRA has increased over time, 401k limits have increased over time, so on and so forth. And the other nice thing is these dollars must be invested in low-cost funds that are tied to the U.S. stock stock market. So again, making sure that the cost is kept low. It's another great incentive for those young people to make those contributions, and their parents, frankly. And we're investing in the U.S. economy and ultimately the U.S. stock market. So it's a great approach to, again, help people get involved, interested, and engaged in investing over the long term. And these are not like a checking account or a savings account. They're designed to be an investment vehicle. And one of the interesting things that we've seen is, and they're kind of mirroring an IRA. But the cool thing about that is that with an IRA, there's a lot of restrictions as far as having earned income. These do not require you to have any earned income. I don't know any 5-year-olds that have earned income in today's world. As I mentioned before, there are some very specific rules that are at least we know about today. The first is the annual contribution rule. Right now, it's set at $5,000 annually with the likelihood that that's going to be adjusted. There are going to be investment restrictions. These can't just be invested in any type of investment vehicle. Right now, they're focusing on a broad base approach to US stocks, like a stock index, and their goal is to keep those fees relatively low. Another aspect or another rules that apply to these are withdrawal restrictions. As I mentioned, these are not savings accounts or checking accounts. They're long-term savings and ultimately retirement accounts. Now, during childhood, the money's going to be locked up. So they're going to be kind of behind the screen, just like a 401k, an IRA would be during your working years, and they're not really supposed to access those dollars. It's not impossible, but you're not supposed to access those dollars until you're 59 and a half. But once children reach the age of majority or adulthood, however you want to describe that, those accounts can be the Trump account can be rolled into an IRA. And so that's going to be a great way to, again, get those kids kickstarted. It's going to really prime the pump for future savings, and it can help them compound that wealth and that long-term growth potential over time. Right now, there are no income limits on making contributions, but as it stands today, there's actually no great tax incentive as far as an income deduction or anything like that. The nice thing is that they do get the longer term growth that you would see in an IRA, that the interest and capital gains are not going to be taxed. And at future dates, once those dollars are rolled into an IRA and then during retirement, they will get taxed at ordinary incomes likely. But again, that's going to be kind of that long-term approach. And one of the things that people are really liking about these is that they are setting children up for early success. So they're encouraging children to invest early. I think that this is great when you get the parents involved. When a parent is involved in their child, it doesn't matter if they're involved in their school, their sports, their emotional development or their financial development. Having the parent be involved and kind of leading the charge can show their children that they can too understand this and be involved in it as well. It also introduces more children to long-term asset ownership. Again, many kids are not taught the basics of the financial system until they're out of college. And it's usually because they're learning it from, the hard knocks of making an error or making a mistake. These types of accounts could potentially open that up and allow children to be more involved, more engaged in asset ownership. And what of the beauty is that they can see what the value of compound interest is. Compounding over time is such a wonderful thing. And there are so many reports, there are so many anecdotal stories of starting early. And if we just do the math, it's unbelievable. If you start early, success over time is almost inevitable. It's pretty wild. Now, there are some people that are not exactly excited about these, but in the end, I think they are a net positive to ultimately another tool. They're not going to be the thing that solves everything, but right now I think they are a great tool to add to the mix. So we can save into 529, we can do the UGMAs, you could even do life insurance, cash value life insurance. And now this is just another caveat to add to long-term growth and setting those children up for financial success. I think in the end, the key takeaway is these Trump accounts are government-backed or government-created investment accounts for children. They are a great way for children to build wealth early, and I think it's a great opportunity to get kids engaged, understand the value of asset ownership, and set them up for long term financial success.